Hi, this is Rob from Akai Professional. I'm here today at Gear4music and we're looking at the brand new update for MPC 2.7. Two 2.7 brings the long-awaited Ableton integration to MPC Live and MPC. Today we're going to talk you through the setup and a few possible uses for it. Let's get into it. First of all, you can see here I've got an Ableton project set up. What we need to do is actually download a bit of software first. The software that you'll need to get for this to work is our brand new piece of software called Akai Professional Network MIDI driver, which is what will be free on the website. So all you need to do to get this to work, firstly, is to download this software onto your PC or Mac, and then you need to install the firmware onto your hardware. All of this is available on the Akai Pro website. Once that's installed, you need to connect your hardware to Wi-Fi or to an Ethernet port. Once you've connected them, what I'm using today is my phone as a hotspot. So here I've got my connections. You can see that that's linked. To do that on your hardware, you go to Menu and go to Settings. And you can see on the Wi-Fi pane, it says iPhone, and I've connected that already, so we're on the same network. Once that's connected, you can jump into your network MIDI driver, which is just here. It will give the MPC its name and then an IP address. Just select it from the drop-down list, and you can see that it's ready on that network. Now into Ableton. You can see I've got a project open here, and I'm running the latest version of Ableton, which is needed for this to work. But if you jump into Preferences, you can see here that I have got a control surface, which is Akai Force MPC. So that brings me on to the point that this is actually a feature which is rolled out on Force as well, but we're going through MPC today. You've got the input here, and you've got the output. Set that to door control on both, and then at the bottom, you can see you've got your inputs and your outputs. Make sure everything is on remote. And that is it. You're set up to use MPC Live or MPC with Ableton wirelessly via the Wi-Fi connection. So why would I need this? What is the purpose of having a Wi-Fi connection or an Ethernet connection for Ableton? A few reasons. First, for me, is that I would use this on a stage production or on stage or performance. This will allow me to trigger clips from Ableton wirelessly. This means that I can put my laptop directly next to the sound engineer and have it set up with my loops, have it set up with backing track or click commands, and I can easily control that from MPC. How it looks on the MPC once it's set up is really, really interesting. So if I go to Menu, and now I've got this new icon in the corner here, which says Live Control. Just tap on there, and you can see this relays my project. You can see all of my clips. You can also see the levels of the clips. Here I can use the display to touch and bring up and down my faders. I can also look at the main levels or main controls where I've got my mutes, my solos and my arms. And I've also got control over the sends. Here you can also assign A and B for DJ effects or trigger your scenes. The last thing to look at on there is the device control. This means that you can actually control devices from within Ableton Live remotely using the hardware. Here I've got an EQ on channel 1. And you can see on the display that if I select it and use the encoder, that's moving around that point. And this will work with all of the stock plugins inside of Ableton. And this means that you can use this as not just a performance device, but a studio device. And that I can control all of my elements without touching the mouse and staying very much on the hardware. The next thing to do is show you this in action. My setup today is purely taking the audio output from the laptop and running it into my available inputs on the back. Just to show you that really quickly, you go to your home screen and audio, you can see inputs 1 and 2, and then I've got them armed and monitored. The reason I'm running it this way is that I can actually use all of the audio coming through and then process it in real time, either using the effects or the XY effects, which are already inside MPC. So let's go to Live Control and let's start launching some clips. The first one here is going to be a loop, so we'll trigger that from Ableton. It's also worth mentioning that these are also linked. So like you could before, you can use Ableton Link, it's the same network, but this time they're linked and they're also controlling the launching and the control of the mixer and effects wirelessly. So let's start launching some clips and build around it with MPC. So the first loop here, you can see that that is waiting for the bar before it launches. You can change that to your own preference, but that's what we've got set up today. The next thing we're going to do is add in a percussion loop. Let's adjust the volume, and let's jump into MPC. Next we're going to add some beats on top of it. You can see that that's all running in time using the link and then winding it all together. And let's add some hi-hats. Another great feature with it being tethered inside of your MPC Live is using the XY effects like I mentioned earlier, which is great for live performance. Now you jump back into live, you can see I've got all these other elements that I can work alongside MPC, like a vocal. Just a quick one to talk about inside of the Live Control. If you're working with devices, the way that you operate or work through them is by selecting the bottom icon here, which is Devices. And you can see on this particular channel, I've got an EQ. And if I want to go through the banks, just tap on the buttons there, and that'll go through each parameter bank. If I want to move to the second device, which I've got in here, which is my compressor, I press Device, and that will jump over to the device. If you want to use the Q links, that's really easy to use those as well. Just jump through your Q link pages and then move the encoders, and you'll see that's directly mapped to the device in your chain. And you'll notice that there is very, very minimal latency. It makes it extremely easy to use in the studio and on stage. For any more information on this or any other Akai Professional products, head over to the Gear4music website. Thank you very much.